Hello. Today's episode number 135 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses Atlantic City Casino's return to player statistics for the 2020 pandemic. Are they done yet with tightening down the odds on their slot machines? Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. states of Massachusetts and Michigan. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I revisited my 5-spin winning slot strategy during my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Maryland's slot machine casino gambling in 2021. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. On this episode, and likely for future episodes, I won't be sharing the audio from my live stream. Instead, I'll be talking to you directly. So let's get started with New Jersey Slots Return to Player 2021. All U.S. casinos closed for months in 2020. Since that unprecedented event, a big concern for slots enthusiasts is if casinos have reduced the return to player, RTP, and if so, have they stopped yet? But is that true? Let's look closely at the return statistics for New Jersey Slots return to player for its Atlantic City casinos. Every U.S. casino closed in 2020 due to the global pandemic. These abrupt closures financially hurt the U.S. gaming industry, and after reopening, their financial woes continued, mostly due to low numbers of visiting casino patrons. As my audience of slots enthusiasts returned to newly reopened casinos, they began to report tight slot machine gameplay, accepted for the most part as understandable. But these reports have continued, so the question is, have casinos stopped a policy of lower odds, as seen in my analysis of Florida RTP and Mississippi RTP? Let's use New Jersey's own publicly available return statistics for Atlantic City's casinos and find out for ourselves. To be clear, we want to know if return statistics dropped, and if so, how long they dropped, and if player win percent has returned to pre-pandemic averages. There are 9 commercial casinos in New Jersey, all located in Atlantic City. In 1976, New Jersey established legalized gaming in Atlantic City on the eastern side of the United States from Nevada. The first casino in New Jersey opened in 1978. During their peak in 2006, as the only commercial casinos in the eastern U.S., Atlantic City casinos were an economic boon. After many casinos opened throughout the eastern states, the profitability of Atlantic City casinos significantly declined, but they underwent a substantial resurgence after 2 casinos reopened in mid-2018. The State of New Jersey Casino Control Commission regulates online and Atlantic City casino gambling alongside the state's Division of Gaming Enforcement. New Jersey has 9 casinos in Atlantic City. 1. Bally's, which closed on November 17, 2020. 2. Borgata. 3. Caesars. 4. Golden Nugget. 5. Hard Rock. 6. Harrah's. 7. Ocean. 8. Premier, which opened the day after Bali closed, November 18, 2020. 9. Resorts. And 10. Tropicana. The Division of Gaming Enforcement makes New Jersey gaming financial and statistical information publicly available with monthly and quarterly gross revenue reports. The monthly gross revenue reports are most useful with regards to return statistics. Further, the division offers monthly gross gaming revenues by casino. These monthly statistics provide the casino hold percent rather than the player win percent, but subtraction from 100% yields the player win percent. It's worth mentioning that New Jersey gaming regulations require all slot machines have a minimum theoretical payout of 83%. The return statistics for Atlantic City casinos are available all the way back to calendar year 2013. These monthly returns offer the casino hold percentage, where the more common player win percentage is 100% minus the win percent provided in these state returns. After downloading and converting the casino hold percent provided to player win percent, I plotted them in a graph. And this graph is available in the transcript, which you'll find at professorslots.com/episode 135, the show notes for this show. Atlantic City casinos closed for 3 full months, April, May, and June in 2020, as a public health response to the pandemic. Further, Bally's changed ownership to Premier on November 18, 2020, when returns ended for Bally's and began for Premier. If you could see the graph, you might notice that Harrah's typically had the highest monthly player returns, with few exceptions, while Ocean typically had the lowest return. In 2020, the player win percent for all casinos had a 3% range, from a low of 89.3% for Ocean to a high of 92.3% for Harrah's. Summaries help to understand trends, so I put together the statewide average monthly player win percentages and plotted that on a graph as well. In this graph, if you were to see it, you might find three interesting areas of behavior. January 2019. This month shows the highest statewide return in over 2 years. I suspect this peak is related to Atlantic City Casino's return to profitability due to 2 reopened casinos in mid-2018. However, exploring that theory is not the topic under study now. January 2020 through March 2020. Here we can see unsteady behavior in a statewide average indicating that Atlantic City casinos changed their financial plans in these months. March's peak resulted from 4 casinos maintaining their financial targets in March, while 5 casinos increased their win percent by 1.5% or more. July 2020 through February 2021. These months show the lowest statewide returns, except for November 2020, which was 0.1% greater than 4 other months prior to the start of the pandemic. New Jersey's monthly revenue reports also indicate the drop, or amount spent by slots enthusiasts at Atlantic City casinos. I've tabulated these dollar values for each month starting in January 2019. Let's consider 2019 as a baseline since it didn't have a pandemic, to which we compare monthly casino revenues in 2020. What we want to know is, did casinos lose money in 2020 compared to 2019? And if so, how much did each casino lose? So I plotted that information on a graph, which you can't see, but it is in the show notes for the article this is based on. And if you were to look at it, you would see that it's mostly negative, and in some cases extremely negative. I'll explain. Atlantic City casinos had no slots income in April, May, and June 2020. So revenue losses were substantial in those months when compared to being open in 2019. However, casinos closed for part of March and July 2020. So those months also saw significant slots revenue losses. These revenue losses are clear in the graph that you can see. You might note clearly that Borgata had the greatest losses, more than twice that of the casino with the second greatest revenue loss. Why is that? It's apparent Borgata stayed closed for weeks longer in July 2020 than Atlantic City's other casinos. Bravo, Borgata. As it served us well earlier to identify trends, I needed to also check the statewide average revenue loss. If I could show that to you, you would see that Atlantic City casinos were on track to making a $100 million to $140 million revenue gain in January and February 2020, just before the pandemic, as compared to the year before. However, on average, they've suffered a relative revenue loss during the remainder of 2020. May and June 2020 each had a revenue loss of over $1.8 billion for all Atlantic City casinos. Total slots play revenue loss for 2020 was over $9.5 billion. That's billion with a B. So, what have we learned? We've learned, as we saw in the returns to player in Florida and Mississippi, that Atlantic City casinos carefully control their monthly financial performance. They have a financial plan, and they stick with it throughout the year, whether it be the best return of all casinos, the worst, or somewhere in between. But we also saw a certain amount of lost control of monthly financial performance in the month they closed. Looking at the statewide average player win percent after the pandemic, it appears that financial control resumed. And that control exemplifies tight slot machine returns for every casino except Harrah's and perhaps Borgata relative to 2019 and pre-pandemic 2020 returns. Are New Jersey's casinos in Atlantic City cheating you by having tight slot machine returns? Perhaps cheating is too strong of a word, but whatever you want to call their attempted recover of nearly $10 billion in losses, most have yet to stop doing it. Frankly, I sympathize. All U.S. casinos closed for months in 2020. Since that unprecedented event, a big concern for slots enthusiasts is if casinos have reduced their return to player, RTP, and if so, have they stopped yet? Looking closely at the return statistics for New Jersey slots return to player of its Atlantic City casinos, the answer appears to be a resounding no, not yet. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. First up is Massachusetts slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Here goes. Massachusetts slot machine casino gambling consists of 2 casino resorts, 1 slot machine parlor, and cruise ships with onboard casinos sailing to international destinations. The minimum legal gambling age in Massachusetts depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos and poker rooms, it's 21. For bingo, the lottery, and parimutuel wagering, it's 18. Massachusetts gaming regulations define casino resorts as Category 1 and slots parlors as Category 2. Each casino category has different income tax structures. For instance, the daily gross revenue tax for Category 1 resorts is 25%, while it's 40% for Category 2 slots parlors. In 2011, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts created 3 gaming regions, each with a casino resort gaming license. Eastern Region A. This license went to MGM, who constructed a casino in downtown Springfield. It opened on August 24, 2018. Western Region B. This license went to Wynn Resorts, who constructed Encore Boston Harbor in Everett. It opened on June 23, 2019. Southeastern Region C. No license has been awarded. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. It is legal to own a slot machine privately in Massachusetts if it is 30 years old or older. The Massachusetts Gaming Commission, Ask Gaming, became law on November 22, 2011 when Governor Deval Patrick signed the Expanded Gaming Act. In this section, I'll discuss Massachusetts gambling establishments. Massachusetts has 3 commercial casinos, including 2 casino resorts and 1 slots parlor, as well as cruise ships with onboard casinos sailing from the port of Boston to international destinations. The largest casino in Massachusetts is Encore Boston Harbor. The second largest casino is MGM Springfield. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts' 3 commercial casinos are 1. Encore Boston Harbor in Everett, 5 miles north of downtown Boston. 2. MGM Springfield, 92 miles west of Boston and 26 miles north of Hartford, Connecticut. And 3. Plain Ridge Park Casino in Plainville, 36 miles southwest of Boston and 22 miles northeast of Providence, Rhode Island. This list, along with a casino map and other useful links for Massachusetts slots enthusiasts, are on my webpage for this state at ProfessorSlots.com/MA. In 2016, the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe presented plans for their first light casino and resort in Taunton in Eastern Region C. If opened, this tribal casino would be the largest casino in Massachusetts. However, construction of this casino is on hold due to lengthy and ongoing legal battles, as reported in 2020 by WBUR News. A second tribal casino on Martha's Vineyard, Aquanaut Cliffs Casino, remains on hold since 2019 pending building permits required by local zoning laws. As an alternative to enjoying Massachusetts slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Massachusetts is to the north, New Hampshire and Vermont, to the east, the Atlantic Ocean, to the south, Connecticut and Rhode Island, and to the west, New York. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my New Hampshire slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/NH. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Massachusetts? If so, join our Massachusetts slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBMA. All you will need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Massachusetts. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBMA. Join us. Massachusetts gaming regulations have set a minimum theoretical payout of 80% for gaming machines. Monthly revenue reports for each casino are publicly available from Mass Gaming. These return statistics offer casino hold percentages as slot hold percent and player win percentages as slot payout percent. The February 2021 player win percentage for each casino is Encore Boston Harbor 92%, MGM Springfield 91.6%, Plain Ridge Park, 92.6%. In summary, Massachusetts slot machine casino gambling consists of 2 casino resorts, a slots parlor and cruise ships offering onboard casinos when traveling to international destinations. In the last year, there's been little change to the slots industry in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts after a new casino resort opened beforehand in each of the prior 2 years. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Next up is Michigan slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Here goes. Michigan slot machine casino gambling consists of 3 commercial casinos in Detroit and 23 tribal casinos throughout the state. Furthermore, Caesars Windsor is a popular destination just across the international border from Detroit in the Canadian province of Ontario. The minimum legal gambling age in Michigan depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's 18 or 21 if alcohol is served. For poker rooms, bingo, the lottery, and pari-mutuel wagering, it's 18. The minimum legal age for gambling at Caesars Windsor in Canada is 19 years old. In 1996, Michigan voters approved 3 licensed casinos in Detroit via the Michigan Gaming Control and Revenue Act. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. It is legal to own a slot machine privately if it is 25 years old or older. The Michigan Gaming Control Board, MGCB, within the Michigan Department of Treasury regulates commercial casinos in Detroit. Further, the MGCB provides compliance oversight authority for tribal state compacts with Michigan's federally recognized tribes. Federally recognized American Indian tribes are sovereign nations. As such, the state of Michigan does not have general regulatory authority over tribal casinos, although the state has oversight authority of compliance with state tribal compact provisions. Instead, through the Federal Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988, Michigan's tribes have tribal gaming compacts in place to allow Class III games of chance slot machines. Therefore, the National Indian Gaming Commission and each tribal government regulate Michigan's tribal casinos. For Canadian casinos, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, AGCO, a Crown agency, and the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation, OLG, regulates gaming at Caesars Windsor across the international border from Detroit. In this section, I'll discuss Michigan gambling establishments. Michigan has 3 commercial casinos, 23 tribal casinos, and a nearby Canadian casino across the international border. The largest casino in Michigan is MGM Grand Detroit. The second largest casino is Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Detroit's 3 commercial casinos and the popular Caesars Windsor in Canada are Caesars Windsor, Greektown Casino, MGM Grand Detroit, and Motor City Casino Hotel. Tribal casinos in Michigan are a thriving business, and many major expansion projects are underway throughout the state. This is especially true for casinos in northern Michigan. Michigan has 23 tribal casinos. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with a casino map and other useful links for Michigan slots enthusiasts are on my webpage for the state at ProfessorSlots.com/mi. As an alternative to enjoying Michigan slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Michigan is to the north and east the Canadian province of Ontario, to the south Indiana and Ohio, and to the west Minnesota, and across Lake Michigan, Illinois. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my Indiana Slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/IN. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Michigan? If so, join our Michigan Slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBMI. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Michigan. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBMI. Join us. Detroit's commercial casinos have a minimum theoretical payout of 80%. In addition, they have a maximum theoretical payout of 100% unless otherwise approved by the Michigan Gaming Control Board. Class II skill-based electronic gaming machines at commercial casinos in Detroit also have these payout limits when played perfectly. Return statistics from Detroit's casinos are not publicly available. Payout limits for machines at Michigan's tribal casinos don't exist, nor are return statistics publicly available. Finally, Canadian casinos in Ontario, such as Caesars Windsor, have a minimum theoretical payout of 85% and a maximum theoretical payout of 99.1% for Class 3 Vegas-style games of chance. However, Class 2 competition-style games of skill machines, such as video poker, have a minimum theoretical payout of 88%. According to Canada's OLG slots brochure, Ontario casinos have a single return statistic. Their average return is 91.8%. In summary, Michigan slot machine casino gambling consists of 3 casinos in Detroit and 23 tribal casinos spread throughout the state. Otherwise, Caesars Windsor in Canada, across the border from Detroit, is a popular casino destination. Over the last year, there has been little change to the slots gambling industry in Michigan. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will likely be a review of the March 2021 annual financial report from one of the primary slot machine manufacturers, International Game Technologies, also known as IGT. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief review of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Minnesota. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 135. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.